Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Woo You event with Dr. Jennifer Stewart, where she will be discussing carotenoids, prescribing for ocular health and visual performance. So I'm Dr. Ariel Sorenzi, and I'll be your host tonight. So I'd like to introduce our speaker. This is our third time of having her on Woo You. We just couldn't get enough of her, and you'll see why when she starts presenting. She's an awesome speaker and always just has really engaging presentations. She's an optometrist, an internationally recognized speaker, writer, consultant, and entrepreneur. She has a passion for helping optometrists and organizations with operations, sales success, practice management, and sales team training through her advisory and consulting firm, OD Perspectives. She is a professional editor of Independent Strong, is an adjunct assistant professor at NECO, and a consultant for CooperVision, MacuHealth, and XyloWear. With a deep interest in sports vision, Dr. Stewart is the co-founder and chief vision officer for Performance 2020, which provides services for sports and performance vision training. She's a recipient of the Thea Award for Innovation by Women in Optometry and serves on the executive board for the International Sports Vision Association. Dr. Stewart is passionate about sports safety, enhancing performance, and helping business owners achieve their goals. And as an avid Disney fan, she lives her life by the quote, "If you can dream it, you can do it." She's inspired to help others with their dreams. So here are going to be her financial disclosures, and I'm going to let you take it away from here, Dr. Stewart.
Thank you, Ariel. And wow, there are a lot of us on here tonight. I'm so honored that you are all here to join this wonderful Woo You presentation. I am a huge Woo You fan. If I'm not speaking, I am attending. And there have been just so many great webinars this year and even the rest of the year. So we'll talk more at the end of who's to come next, but I encourage you to make sure you're signing up for every Woo You webinar there is. And thank you to everyone in the chat. Hi to you all too. So thank you everyone for saying hi. These are my financial disclosures, and all financial relationships have been mitigated. So now that that is done and out of the way, welcome tonight. I welcome questions. Please feel free to put any questions you may have in the chat. I love presenting virtually, but I also love pretending that we are live tonight. So I welcome questions in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them either on the fly as we're going, or if I don't answer in the moment, I'll probably get to it in a bit, and then we will certainly leave time at the end to answer some questions. So again, welcome. And I'm excited about presenting something slightly different than I typically do. I tend to present a lot on sports and performance vision, but this will have a little bit of that as well. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about carotenoids and how we can prescribe better for ocular health, but also taking a little twist on that and talking about visual performance. So here are my goals tonight. I've got a few. Understanding what the function of macular carotenoids are. And so many of us maybe on this call are thinking, I don't know what a macular carotenoid is. So don't fear, don't worry, I'll get to that. And we'll talk about how those macular carotenoids play a role in AMD, and also how we can think about patients a little bit differently, because a lot of us do think about macular carotenoids typically for our older patients or our patients who have a history of macular degeneration or a family history. But I'd like to encourage you to think about your patients slightly different and think about how we can prescribe these carotenoids for our visual performance. And that might change the athletes and patients that you're thinking about. So I have to start with a little science. I promise that I won't call on anyone. If I was live, I probably would, but since we're all in our houses, I can't quite pick on anyone. But we're going to talk about the macula, and we spend every day in and day out, every patient, this is what we work with in our exam rooms. But a lot of us haven't given a lot of thought to the macula since school, possibly thinking about the structure and function of the macula in a less clinical way, but thinking really about the structure. So the macula takes up a small amount of the retina. So it takes up about 4%, but about half of the visual cortex is devoted to the macula. So I always tell patients it's, a teeny part of the back of the eye, but it's probably the most important for your visual function. And it gives rise to over 90% of our conscious visual perception. So it's a tiny spot, but it's giving us a lot of information. So It's also the only part in the eye that accumulates macular carotenoids. So when we think about, and I encourage you to think about patients who might come in with questions about different supplements they're taking, ingredients in those supplements, questions about why a supplement that you might be prescribing is different than one that their family members are taking, or that they've read online, or I always say that Dr. Oz has recommended, or somebody, Reader's Digest. A lot of times they're thinking of ingredients that are in these vitamins, and I'm going to help you understand the difference between the macular carotenoids and why we should be thinking a little bit different about how we are prescribing these and for what reasons. And the benefit is that we can have research that backs up our recommendations. So the carotenoids are anterior to the photoreceptors in the RPE. I call them the protective barrier before anything can get to the very, very back of the eye. So if you like to learn in pictures, here's a great demonstration if you can't think of where that exactly is, but here's the macular pigment, which are lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin. So patients come in and they love to talk about lutein. They love to talk about the supplements that they're taking that have lutein in them. I have not had a patient yet that came in and said, Dr. Stewart, I want to talk to you about mesozeaxanthin and the supplements that have that. So it's a little less known, zeaxanthin and mesozeaxanthin, but lutein, certainly our patients are well-versed and understand and have heard of that. So the three of them are the macular carotenoids, and that make up that protective barrier or the macular pigment. So I love when patients come in talking about lutein, because I know that that's a great start to a conversation. So here's lutein. So again, the most popular, I will say, just based on popular opinion, and lutein does filter short wavelengths of blue light. It's an antioxidant. However, it's a little less dense at the fovea, which we'll see in a little bit, and it is found in our diets in green leafy vegetables and egg yolks. So patients have heard that they want to eat their green leafy vegetables because they've heard of lutein, but they have really not heard of zeaxanthin and mesozeaxanthin. So zeaxanthin is another macular carotenoid, really important for managing the effects of glare and maintaining healthy visual acuity. Along with mesozeaxanthin, absorbs that high energy light. And as we'll get into in a little bit, it's not only found in the eye, but it's found in the brain and other organs. Mesozeaxanthin, so I know we're at dinner time. Well, post dinner for me on the East Coast and our East Coast friends, but hopefully everyone had a dinner that looked just like this, and had some nice healthy spinach, some greens. When I was eating dinner, I made sure to have some asparagus and some spinach because I knew I would be talking to you guys about macular carotenoids. So I had to make sure I had a really nice dinner with lots of green leafy vegetables so I could feel good coming on here talking about them. But mesozeaxanthin is the most potent of the three macular carotenoids. Also, I feel is the one that people have not heard of. So often when I start talking about this, patients go, what is that? I've never heard of that. Is it new? Why haven't I heard of that? And it's a great opportunity, again, to educate. So I often start with lutein and then delve into the other two. But again, it's found at the fovea. It's found in green leafy vegetables, also in the skin of fish like salmon, but you have to eat a lot. And the great thing about mesozeaxanthin is that the body can convert lutein to mesozeaxanthin. So that's why lutein is in a lot of vitamins. It's in, kind of more of the over-the-counter vitamins that we see when a vitamin says promotes eye health, or it's a multivitamin. Often patients will read down that list of ingredients and go, ding, ding, we've got lutein in here. I'm protected. Dr. Stewart, I don't need any other vitamins. I'm safe, and I know that I'm doing well. That's great. But in 1 out of 5 of our patients, that's not converted to mesozeaxanthin, and studies have found that that's a higher statistic in our macular degeneration patients. So again, we're playing kind of Russian roulette, not knowing if those patients are taking lutein, and it's actually being converted and they're getting the benefits of mesozeaxanthin. And yes, I saw in the chat comes from marigolds, correct? So this is one of those cases of great education to a patient. And I hope my goal whenever I present, and my big goal for tonight is that you can leave here tonight and go to your patients tomorrow and have small, quick talking points and great ways to share this information in a quick manner. And I love that statistic. And I found that that was very helpful when talking to patients, that I know you're taking a lutein supplement, but not everybody can actually convert that. And here's why that's important. So also, when combined with lutein and zeaxanthin, the mesozeaxanthin, all of those together are more effective than when they're on their own. So I say to patients, why have one when you can have three? And now you've got this exponential protection. So humans can't manufacture these. So it's not that something, it's not something that we are making. We have to take this in our diet. They're only produced by plants. Starts development in utero, so based on the mother's diet. And the average person only consumes 1 to 2 milligrams per day. That depends on diet. So somebody who has somebody who's vegetarian or has a diet high in vegetables, that will certainly be higher. I'm sure there are people who have never had a vegetable or it's been 20 years. I love when patients share that and say, I'll ask them about their diet and they say, I don't know the last time I've had a vegetable. I'm like, any vegetable? Yeah, no, I just don't eat them. So our diet is lacking. That's a polite way of saying we don't do as well as we could in our diet. So a lot of patients are not getting enough of the macular carotenoids based on what they're eating. So the distribution of macular carotenoids, if you think of the macula as a bullseye, and this is how I talk to patients about it, mesozeaxanthin is right at the center. So that is the bullseye. I say that's, when we're playing darts, that's right where you want to be hitting. So that's the bullseye in the center. So that's where the mesozeaxanthin is, followed by zeaxanthin and lutein on the farther edge. So again, when a patient's talking about a lutein supplement, I say that's great. A, you might not be converting it to mesozeaxanthin, and B, it's not targeting the center of the macula. So here's why I'd like you to take a different supplement. So if it was light out here in Connecticut, it is not, it is dark. But if I were to look out my window and take a look at the beautiful foliage we have this year and look at the beautiful colors on the trees, we can thank carotenoids for that. And any of the colors we see in flowers and we see in animals and birds, their feathers and shrimp, all of those colors are made of carotenoids. In our diet, we only consume about 50. So we've gone from 700 in nature to a diet full of 50. And again, I would make a guess that the average American diet does not have many of those in their diet. Only less than 20 are found in our blood serum and only 3 are found in the eye. So the 3 that we talk about are so important and they're so specialized, and we have so many available to us, but only 3 that we can actually use in the back of the eye for protection. So what are the effects of these carotenoids? A great benefit of a supplement with carotenoids is that other than affecting the eye, which we have heard of and we're going to talk a little bit more about, there are also so many other benefits. Acts as a blue light filter, so filtering out that high wavelength blue light before it penetrates the macula. There's cognitive benefits because these macular carotenoids actually are found in the brain. There's systemic benefits in lowering cortisol and reducing stress. We know about the AMD risk reduction, and acting as an antioxidant is so important. So I feel good knowing that I'm prescribing something for my patients that's not only affecting their eyes, but it can affect their overall health. So as we know, to produce vision, the retina is capturing information and sending it to the optic nerve. So we can find those macular carotenoids here right at the back of the eye. And those are antioxidants and help with light filtration. However, as we talked about briefly before, there are also cognitive effects of the macular carotenoids because they are found in different parts of the brain. So we find macular carotenoids in the frontal lobe, which help with higher mental processing, in the occipital lobe, which help with visual processing, which, as somebody who works with athletes and has a specialty in sports and performance vision, that's really important to me. And it's very exciting to be able to share something with patients who are athletes and even my high level athletes, because most of them have no idea, A, what sports vision is in general, and that there's a role that the visual system and the cognitive system play in sports. And then being able to really dial that down and show them that they can actually affect the speed of their visual processing based on a supplement that they can take that also has other benefits is really fun and exciting. And it's truly cutting edge. And the conversations that you can have to differentiate yourself as a practitioner and set yourself apart are really, really exciting. And the athletes get it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. This really works. They go, yes. It's amazing how if you strengthen one part of the visual system, it can affect your visual processing as well. So our temporal lobes, speech, vision, our cerebellum, balance, attention, and language, and our pons for facial expression and horizontal gaze. So I don't go through this with every patient. I don't sit down and show them this slide. Just like you, when I'm seeing patients, I am super crunched for time, but I love to tell them that not only is this supplement that I'm prescribing for you affecting the back of your eye and helping with your ocular health, there's also great support in the brain as well. And it can really help with different parts of cognitive function. And really, it's such a great feeling to be able to do that. So the macula, I call it the powerhouse of the back of the eye. That's how I describe it to patients. So I tell them it's a really active area. Picture an area with lots of light and oxygen and fats and constant energy. And when you have constant energy, you have the opportunity for a lot of stress. So when you have stress on the macula, you can have this damage, oxidative damage to the photoreceptors. And there's lots of free radicals that are formed. The photoreceptors in the RPE are actually protected by that macular pigment. So patients have heard of antioxidants, which is really exciting. And so that conversation becomes a little easier, but most of them have thought about antioxidants for their health, their skin. We know about antioxidants, our skin, but they haven't really thought about the back of the eye, and they don't give a lot of thought to the process of vision. And it's amazing when you talk to people and go, when you think about all of the steps that go into seeing and vision and cognition and visual function, the processes and steps are so many, and the potential for things to go wrong. There are so many processes, and there's so much energy that's there. So we really want to make sure that we're protecting that macula for the long haul. So oxidative stress and disease is there. It doesn't just happen in the eyes. And again, this is a whole body mindset and a whole body way of looking at things. And free radicals are there. They're everywhere. Cellular metabolism causes these free radicals to form just by us getting older. The environment, if we're living in an area with lots of smog and pollution, that can cause oxidative stress, and the lifestyle that we lead and the choices that we make. So just like I tell my children, there are things we can control and there's things we can't control. As we get older, which is a benefit, and the more birthdays we have is a great thing. But with that comes changes in the cells of our body. At this point, we can't really change that. The environment that we live in might not be something that we can change either. But the lifestyle that we live and the choices that we make, those are things that we can control. So we can control our diet. So if you could see this whole picture, I cut her off a little bit. She does have a big plate of French fries, but she also, in her other hand, has a hamburger, and there's a tiny piece of lettuce on the hamburger. So she's making one good choice there, that she's maybe hopefully got a nice healthy one slice of lettuce, but the choices that we make in our diet play such a huge role. And most of us, hopefully not on this call, but most of our patients likely are not making great diet choices all the time. Our lifestyle, our exercise, how we spend our time, who we spend our time with, our whole lifestyle affects the oxidative stress and disease as well. So making good choices. I love to talk to patients about diet. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, but I love to encourage them to really think about the decisions they make and how it affects their health. But I had some jelly beans today, so I'm not perfect either. So moderation. It's almost Halloween. So oxidative stress, when I talk to patients about oxidative stress, or I want to describe what's happening, I talk about this apple and talk about how the apple is changing And that's what's happening in our cells as well. We have a normal healthy cell, this beautiful crisp apple that was just picked in Connecticut, beautiful and healthy, and it's attacked by free radicals, and it becomes that cell with oxidative stress. It becomes that last apple rolling around in your refrigerator that seems to hang on and that no one wants to get rid of, but doesn't look really, really healthy and yummy and not something you'd want to eat. But that's what our cells go through when they're attacked by free radicals. You can see the difference between a normal cell and a cell with oxidative stress. So antioxidants are a word that we hear all the time. I don't think you can open up a web browser and an article about beauty or health or vitamins or diet and the role that antioxidants play in one of those doesn't come up. And a lot of us throw around the word. I know I certainly would talk about antioxidants and superfoods that are high in antioxidants, or a cream for your face that's really good because of antioxidants. And most of us, or me, myself, our patients don't really know what antioxidants are. We just know that they're good. We should have more of them. I know that I need them. So antioxidants, there are lots of them in our diet. So other than lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin, some of the ones that we hear about are vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc. So there are lots of vitamins and antioxidants that we have in our diet. So I won't make this a chemistry or physics course, but antioxidants donate or accept electrons to stabilize those free radicals. So again, those free radicals are responsible for oxidative stress and damage. And these antioxidants play a role by stabilizing that. So I did not know that, and I learned that. So now when I have conversations about antioxidants with patients, I feel a little bit better that I can talk to them about how now lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin, how they play a role of stabilizing free radicals at the macula and help prevent damage. Just like we hear about antioxidants in our diet are good for us, for our whole body, it's the same as in the eyes. So the macular carotenoids are really, really all amazing antioxidants, and they have different levels of their power and of their antioxidant capacity. So lutein, while it's a great antioxidant, as we can see from the graph on the right side, it's got the lowest antioxidant capacity. So compared to nothing, it is, I will say, I always tell patients it's better than nothing, but it's not as good as you could be doing. So lutein compared to zeaxanthin and mesozeaxanthin has a lower capacity. It's got a lower power, but when you put them all together, the effect is far greater than any of them alone. So why wouldn't we give our patients the benefit of having all of them together instead of just relying on lutein to do the job? So I love, this is a great way to talk to those patients who might say, Dr. Stewart, why is my retina specialist recommending a different supplement than the one that you're recommending? And I used to have kind of a taken aback feeling when a patient would say that, and I would feel that it was like, oh gosh, why is the retina specialist going against my recommendation, or why is the patient questioning me? But now I look at it as an opportunity for education. And I will say this, the supplement that you're taking or that you bought online or that was recommended has lutein in it. There are other things that can be added to make that effect of protection and strengthening the back of your eye even stronger. And that's why I choose to recommend what's called a triple carotenoid formula, or one that has all three. So I like when they bring that up. And I think if you can remember this graph in your head, that can help you have that conversation if a patient does ask. So again, about 15 to 20% of us do not have an ability to convert lutein into mesozeaxanthin. So a lutein-only supplement does not help as much as it could, knowing that mesozeaxanthin is the most powerful antioxidant, is found in the exact center of the fovea where we have the highest amount of oxidative stress. And a high lutein-only formula was unable to rebuild that location. So the exact area that we have that powerhouse macula chugging along, lots of free radicals being formed, if we're taking a lutein-only supplement, we don't have the ability to repair that as much as we could. I love to share with patients that it's just not my opinion, and that it's not just my opinion, although I hope my opinion matters to them, but it's not just my opinion that this is best. There's over 20 peer-reviewed studies that show that including mesozeaxanthin in a retinal health supplement gives that maximum efficacy. And even studies such as the CREST AMD study were done, a head-to-head randomized clinical trial that showed that adding mesozeaxanthin was valid in an AREDS2 formulation. And over 2 years in an early AMD population, 75% of visual performance improved. So not only is it helping objectively, patients subjectively are also seeing better on these supplements. So you can feel good about that. So why is this important? And this still kind of looking at these slides blows my mind that our population, as we know, is growing exponentially over decades and decades of time. Our population growth is increasing. With that, our life expectancy is increasing. So we are both living longer, and there's more of us who are living longer. So we're having this increase in population of an older group of people. With that increased life expectancy comes an increase in age-related disease. So we're seeing an increase in blindness, an increase in dementia, an increase in these diseases that tend to occur later in life. But as patients live longer, they're having a longer time period of their life where they're affected. So the aging population, macular degeneration in 2011, 11 million people had some form of AMD. That number is expected to nearly double to 22 million by 2050. 2050 feels a long, long time away. But also when I think back and somebody says, oh, this happened 20 years ago, I still think they mean 1980. I do not think they mean 2002. So 2050 feels both really far away, but it is not that far away, and a huge change in 40 years in the number of patients who are being diagnosed with AMD. So again, these patients are living longer, they're being diagnosed, and longer of their life, they're having effects of AMD. So if we think about this and we think about our patient population and we think about what we can do, it's a great thing that we're living longer, but how can we help our patients and how can we get in front of these age-related problems? If we can have early intervention, we can change the progression of these diseases from fast to slow over the lifetime. So we can really change how they are affected by these diseases if we can get out in front of them and have conversations earlier. So I've had conversations with doctors about this, and they say, Dr. Stewart, I don't see a lot of older patients. I'm in a young demographic. I'm in a suburb. My average patient is, a healthy contact lens wearing, young, healthy patient. So I understand the AMD, and maybe as they get older, this will be a conversation, but it's just not really relevant in my practice. Or, my partner sees all the older patients, or, I don't really have that population. This is a great way to change the mindset of who you talk to about supplementation. So this was the CREST study done on subjects free of retinal disease by Dr. John Nolan. So these were young, healthy patients with 20/20 vision. The average age in this study was 44. I'm almost 42. So these are our patients, my peers, and these were patients with a low macular pigment density. So they had a low layer of protection, a low level of macular carotenoids, but they were 20/20. They had a year of taking a triple carotenoid formula, and at the end of that year, they had a statistically significant improvement in contrast sensitivity. So these patients were able to achieve sharper, high-definition vision, and they were healthy patients. So this makes me think of all those patients that come in and say, Dr. Stewart, I just don't see well. And I'm going, your refraction's perfect. Your glasses are made correctly. We've had the optician adjust them 4 times. I've refracted you 3 times. You don't have dry eye. You don't have any disease. Your OCT is clear. I don't know what else to tell you, but you see just fine. I'd like you to think of me, hopefully the next time these patients come in and you think, wow, maybe it's something with their contrast sensitivity. So they're seeing well, their visual acuity, our objective measurement of their vision is good, but their subjective measurement, their own vision or visual acuity, to them, they're not seeing well. So these patients went from the before, which is still a clear picture, to the after, which is a high def, it's clearing cleaning off your window and going, oh my gosh, I can see. And you get this really, really high definition picture. So these patients were 20/20 to start, and now they're having this 20/20 plus. They're able to see in high def. So when you have these patients who are giving you maybe some weird answers or just don't feel like they're seeing well, I'd encourage you to think of adding a triple carotenoid supplement. It doesn't hurt. There will only be a benefit, and they might notice an improvement in their vision. So I live in the sports and performance vision world. But our patients also, on a day-to-day basis, if they're an athlete, they're using all of these skills. But if they're driving a car, they're walking down the street, they're living life, they're also using these skills. So when we think about visual performance, it goes beyond their visual acuity. It goes beyond what they see in the exam room, looking at that chart that we're sitting in a static environment. But I talk about their speed of vision or their temporal visual processing, their reaction time, their prediction, and their decision making. How quickly can they make a decision based on the information they see? With an athlete, I talk to them about, if I can speed that process up, if I can help you see faster, make a motor decision faster, and then make a cognitive decision faster, and then make a motor decision faster. If you break that down to any sport, you're going to be better because you're going to do things quicker. But our patients who are driving a car, just driving my kids this afternoon, I'm going, oh my gosh, these people are crazy drivers. So we need improved visual processing speed to just function in our daily life. So we can give our patients the benefit of improved visual processing by adding a macular carotenoid supplement. Contrast sensitivity, we'll get into a little bit. Glare is such a big complaint of patients. And with our older patients, we're looking for retinal findings, or we're looking for cataracts. We're looking for causes, but we've all had those patients that come in that are young and are complaining about significant glare, and in the absence of anything else, we're going, you look perfect. I don't understand why you're complaining about glare. They have discomfort glare, disability glare. I don't feel like I see well. I don't want to drive at night, and I'm 25. It just doesn't match what we think. And we also have these patients who, I just don't feel comfortable in low light conditions. I feel like it's harder for me to change to adapt when it's dark. And I'm really struggling, even in our younger patients. So interestingly, macular pigment significantly is related to speed of dark adaptation, which is interesting because in low light, we think about our vision as mediated by rods. And that's not an area that typically has macular pigment. But when studies have been done on this, they're figuring out that it is most likely due to a general improved health of the retina. So we're seeing patients who are finding that visual adaptation to changing light conditions improves as well. This goes back to 1987. I don't know if any of you have seen this slide. I've seen this before. I remember seeing this in school, talking about visual performance in the real world. So again, we all live in the real world. How can we make our patients safer? How can we feel good about them getting out there and functioning behind the car, in their houses? Contrast sensitivity is so important in how they see, even more so than sometimes in visual acuity. So this study done in 1987 found that contrast sensitivity was a better predictor of performance than age, and it was more significant than visual acuity in real world performance. So this picture on the bottom is a little scary, but here's a girl chasing a ball out into a road, and with poor contrast, it's really hard to see her. So when we think about our patients who are out there driving, often we think just about what their visual acuity is. Are they 20/20? But really thinking about their contrast as well. 20/20 with poor contrast is something we don't really think about. So here's audience participation. There's a lot of you out there. So if I had a prize for the first person, I'm going to throw out my fake prize, who can see the letter at the 1.25% contrast sensitivity threshold? Okay, who do we have first? Let's see. Oh, you guys are so good. I'll let you keep going. So, oh yeah, you guys can't see the answers, so this helps. So we'll get a few more in there. What do you think you see there? And sometimes you have to, so this is impressive. You all have very good contrast sensitivity, very impressive. So hopefully the ones who are seeing an H has it. That took me a little bit of time. So here we see a measure of contrast sensitivity and the threshold of contrast sensitivity. A lot of us have not thought about this since optometry school. So really going back and thinking about measuring contrast sensitivity, we can see at 10%, the D hopefully is pretty easy to see. But as you go from 10% all the way down to 1.2% of a contrast sensitivity threshold, that H can be very, very difficult to see. So congratulations to all of you who saw the H. You get 1 hour of free COPE education tonight. So that is on me. So what happens with, some of you have very funny answers too. So what happens with contrast sensitivity with triple carotenoid formulas in these two groups of patients we're thinking about? In our patients with 20/20 vision, and our patients with early AMD over 3 years, both had an increase in their contrast sensitivity. So again, both of these patients saw an increase in their visual performance, whether they were our healthy 44-year-old with 20/20 vision, who just might not be seeing as well, to our early AMD patients over 3 years, both had an increase in their contrast sensitivity and their overall visual performance. Again, real life, I think about this with our older patients who might be living alone or just thinking about stairs. I don't know who would paint stairs black, but I'm sure this exists. So here's the difference in real life, what contrast looks like. So when I think about athletes, I think about contrast in baseball playing at night. I think about baseball on a field with shadows. I think about my shooters with targets against varying light background. So contrast sensitivity can play a role in my athletes based on the environment that they're looking to be performing at their best. But our average patients live in a normal world, and contrast in real life can be really, really important and can really affect the quality of life. So if a patient has low contrast sensitivity, they might not see these stairs and might get very injured, where in high contrast, they can definitely see the difference in the stairs. So again, the CREST normal study was done on these young healthy patients who had sharper high definition vision. So part of my hope that you get from tonight's presentation is to think about our patients differently and not just think about our patients who are AMD patients, early AMD patients, or family history, but to think of our young healthy patients as well as somebody who could benefit from supplementation. And some of you saw that really well. Thank you for, I like all the comments of who saw it. So I did not do as well. Most of you got it so quick. And the first time that I saw that slide, thankfully I had the speaker's notes because I tried to do it alone and I was looking every way and I did not see that H. So I love having studies to back up the information I have. So I love having, we all have those patients who are the questioners who really come in and have good questions, but don't always take your recommendations at face value. And they might want a little more information and a little more digging, and they want to see studies, they want handouts, they want to know that what you're doing is not just your opinion. So the MOST is another study, a 3-year study done in early AMD populations, and it was found to increase macular pigment density, and patients saw better based on their increased contrast sensitivity. So if you ever need any copies of these studies, MacuHealth or any of the companies that have a triple carotenoid formula would be happy to present these to you. If my email address will be at the very end, so take a snapshot of my email address and I'm happy to help with any of these studies. But I always liked I had a copy of this and the CREST study in my office in one of those laminated or plastic sleeves, because inevitably a patient would ask, can you show me the research, or is there research behind this? Instead of me saying, yeah, I don't remember, or I'll get back to you, or I'll email it to you, I could just pull it aside and say, here you go. I'm happy to have my front desk photocopy this if you'd like. And I felt that helped with patient buy-in, and some of them did want to read. They were truly, we all have those patients, they're truly interested in learning more, and they wanted to take it with them so they could dig deep into it. And then those became great sources of referrals too, because they would go home with all of these studies and show them to whoever, friends, family, neighbors, whoever they talk to. And I'd have patients come in and say, Mary is a friend of mine. She was so excited about the conversation you had, and how you really showed her about the supplement. Instead of just telling her, take this because I told you so, you gave her the information, and I came in because of that. So this can be a really big practice builder, really showing that you're invested in health, but you're also backed up by science. So here's some more of the most conclusions. Over 3 months, the macular pigment density improved from the baseline in all these patients. We saw an increase in the macular pigment, and we also saw an improvement in contrast sensitivity. So maybe those patients who couldn't see the H, which most of you could, hopefully after 36 months of being on a triple carotenoid formulation, they could see the H and join all of us. So if we were in a room, I'd ask for a show of hands of how many of us think, or how many of our patients and us think that all supplements are the same. And no matter where we buy them or what we do, that they're all the same. And hopefully none of us would raise our hands, but I think there's such confusion and misinformation about vitamins and supplements, and what we should take, where we should buy them from, how we should get them into our bodies. There's a lot of, even I feel confused when I'm adding, if my doctor says you're low on this, we need to add this supplement. Even I get confused when I don't know where to buy it from. I don't know, is a soft gel better? Is powder better? Where do I buy it from? How can I trust that what's on the bottle is actually in the capsule I'm taking? We put a lot of trust into the vitamin and supplement industry, and often too much trust that what we're buying is actually what's in there. And this is a really, really great conversation to have with patients, because often the supplement that I'm recommending to them is more expensive than what they were expecting to get. Or they say, great, can you write that down? Because I'm going to go to CVS after this. I'm just going to pick it up there. So this is a great place to stop and talk about the difference in what you're recommending and the quality as compared to something that they can buy wherever. And we know this with artificial tears and contact lens solutions, that everything is not created equal. But in the supplement world, that is it's the Wild West. And I tell patients there are no police, no one's checking. And I want to make sure that what I'm prescribing and recommending to you is actually what you're buying, and that the formulation that I want you to have is actually what you're ingesting. So I'm super specific about that, just like we are with our contact lens prescriptions. We want to make sure our patients are getting them from us. Their contact lenses are coming from our office, because I can sleep better at night knowing that what I prescribe is what they're putting on their eyes. I feel the same way so strongly about the supplements that we use, that I make sure they're either buying them direct from the manufacturer, or we stock them in our office, because I know they can leave today with the bottle. So lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin are degraded by light and oxygen. So if they're not encapsulated correctly, they're not going to be as stable and not going to have the efficacy that they should. So oil-filled capsules are actually more stable than powder-filled. And also, there was a study done, and I'm sure there's been multiple studies done, of 46 supplements tested, 61% did not meet the amount claimed on the label for carotenoid content. So our patients are spending a lot of money that they are trusting in us, that they're doing the right thing. So they have buy-in from us, but what they're putting in their body is not actually what they should be doing. And they might not have the benefits and the effects that we're expecting. So 61% of these, over half, are not meeting the label, and they have less than they should. So also how they're stored makes a big difference. So carotenoid supplements can be found in oil and powder formulation. So 7 products in a study were looked at to see at baseline when they were produced, and then after 3 to 8 months in storage. So again, our patients don't know that how old the bottle is that they're buying. They don't know how long it sat in a warehouse, how long it sat in a truck, how long it's been sitting in a sun-filled warehouse, sitting in front of the light. So we don't know where our supplements are coming from. And if they're in a powder formation, that's even more important, because we can see that the efficacy goes way down. So in this time period of 3 to 8 months in storage, all powder-filled products failed to comply, while oil met or were above claim. So the powder-filled capsules degraded significantly over time to where they didn't even meet the claimed levels of carotenoids, while the oil-filled were stable. So this is another great way. If a patient brings in a bottle for you, you can actually open it and look at what they're taking and have this conversation and say, I know that you have this, and I really want to make sure that we don't know in that powder how much of the carotenoid is there. Is it 100%, 75%, 50%? So I can sleep well at night knowing that what I'm giving you is super stable, and that the benefits that when you're ingesting it are going to be the benefits that you're going to get over the long term. What I tell patients, this is my thing that I tell them, because they'll all ask, can I get on Amazon? We all get everything on Amazon. So I say, if you're going to put it in your body or on your body, don't buy it from Amazon, buy it from the source, buy it direct from the vendor, buy it direct from the company. There are so many fake products on Amazon, and you never know what you're getting. So I say, get your toilet paper there, get your paper towels, get your other things there. But if it's something that you're ingesting and taking in your body, or you're putting it on your body, go direct to the source. So you can make sure that what you're taking, because these fakes are really, really good and they look so much like the real product, but I feel better that you're taking exactly what I meant you to take. So with the last couple of minutes we have, I wanted to talk about implementation, because so often I go to I listen to webinars, or I go to lectures, and I get so excited about the information that I hear, and I'm so excited to bring this back, and I want to do this for my patients, and the conversation's over, the lecture's over, the webinar's over, and I have all these great notes, and then I go, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to talk to my staff about this. My staff know that I'm going to come back from a meeting really energized, and I'm going to tell them all this great stuff, and then I'm going to fail to implement it because I don't really know how. So if we just give her another week, she'll forget about it, and we could just go about the way we've been doing it. But my goal is that you don't do that, and that you leave here tonight, and tomorrow you can start implementing some different ways, from you to your front desk to how your practice is run. So for me, my best practice is that the practice must be all in. And this starts at the front desk. So when a patient is calling to make an appointment, or we're calling to confirm, we're reminding them to bring in all of their glasses, sunglasses, contact lenses, medications, and supplements. So we're starting the conversation and setting the tone that we're different. And we're not only asking about their ocular health or their glasses or their optical side, but we're asking about their medications and supplements. And so many, we've all heard this, they go, why does that matter? I'm just getting an eye exam. But, this is such an opportunity to educate. So we make that part of our routine. Bring your supplements. I encourage patients to bring the bottle of supplements with them. Don't just bring the list, bring me the bottle, so that I can look on the ingredient list and show you exactly what you're taking and how it compares to what I want you to take. Maybe they are taking a powder filled formula, and I can show them an oil filled so they can see the difference, and we can have that talk about stability. But having that bottle in there, they all bring 20 pairs of glasses anyway, so throw the bottle of supplements in there, and that way we can have an apples to apples conversation and look at the ingredient list. Have it on your website, talk about supplements and retinal health and visual performance on your social media, on your email blast, have POP in the office. It's a great conversation starter. Patients are curious. I don't know why you're asking about this. How does it affect me? I'm 45 years old. Why should I be taking a supplement for my macula? Isn't that for older people? But if you can start putting that out there with your social media and your conversations with your patients, it sets the tone and gets them coming and asking about it. When your technician's pre-testing, if you have somebody doing an OCT, that's a great time to start talking about the retina. If you are doing macular pigment testing, that's a home run and an easy way to talk about what you're finding. In the exam room, we have the best opportunity to educate and discuss results. That might be looking at the OCT or the macular pigment and talking to them about family history, their risk factors. It might be their diet or their smoking, or they're that picture of the woman with the French fries and maybe the cigarette, and how their lifestyle and the choices they're making can affect how they're seeing and their long-term retinal health. So it's a great way to have that conversation in the exam room. We can talk about visual performance to your athletes, to your younger patients, and it's such a differentiator in the care you're providing. And glare, we all hear these conversations about glare, and we have that opportunity to have a solution. Often I felt, I just don't know what else to say. We've done the best we can. Did you clean your windshield? Maybe it's just part of getting older. I don't know how to help you. But now we have the opportunity to give them some really concrete ways to help. Doctor prescribing is so important. I would talk about exactly what I want them to do, and they would leave the office with a bottle that day. Their stocking versus auto ship. Some people prefer to have it in-house. Other people like to have it shipped home. You can bundle that pricing and give a year supply discount. You can do 6 months of supply and have a visit scheduled. One bottle isn't enough. Don't let them leave with one bottle. If you are stocking it, send them home with more, send them home with 6 months so that they really have a good time period to try it, and that they're not just trying it for a little bit and giving up. Have everybody in your office take it. I take it myself. I tell patients it's what I give as a Christmas present. Welcome to my family. Super exciting. You get the gift of retinal health. But everyone gets it as a Christmas gift, and I keep it simple. I don't go through all of these slides. I would never have the time, but I keep it simple for them. There are going to be those patients who say, I've heard different. I've never heard of this supplement you're asking me to take. I've never heard of mesozeaxanthin. Is that a made up word? This is such a great opportunity to educate, and don't take it personally. They just don't know. And there's not a lot of information out there other than lutein. So if they have questions, I used to take it personally and I'd feel that they were attacking me. And now I look at it as an opportunity to really share the excitement and knowledge I have. Get it down to a 15-second dialogue, have your elevator pitch as to why they should be taking this and how it benefits them. You don't have to show them the free radical slide and all of the macula slides. Have a quick way to get it to them quickly and efficiently and effectively, and be confident. Feel confident that what you're talking about is not only what you feel, but it's backed by science, and you have the research to prove that. Who can benefit? This is my short list. Everybody: patients with macular degeneration, family history, our 2020 not happy patients, athletes, children, those with high performance careers, and truly everyone. I can't think of a person that couldn't benefit from a supplement that helps both their macular health and their visual performance. So Christmas is coming. This is a great way to practice that 15-second elevator pitch on your family as they're opening up their gifts and they're going, "Thanks for the bottle of macular supplement." So you can practice your pitch on them. So I'd like to close and leave you with this scary screenshot I took a couple weeks ago. If you go to Amazon and you Google eye vitamins, this is what comes up. If you can't see it on your screen, there are over 2,000 results for eye vitamins. This is what our patients are doing. They are leaving knowing they should be taking something, but they don't know what to take and they don't know where to get it. So they're going, okay, well, this is the first one that comes up, and this one's got 40% off, and it's the first page. Be the expert. Be the one to tell them what they should take, why they should take it, how they should get it, and make sure that you're the one delivering that care. Because if not, they're going to end up here on Amazon with my cart full of stuff, and they are going to be very confused. They're going to walk into CVS in that aisle of eye vitamins. They're going to pick not the cheapest, but probably the next most inexpensive one, because it's not, I don't want the least expensive one. I want the one up from there. And they really don't know what they're getting. And as we learned, they might not be getting exactly what they should be. So don't leave them to look on Amazon. Don't leave them to search and to hope that they're picking the right one. Make a good recommendation backed by science so that they can feel good that the decision they're making is the right one. So with that, that was a lot to cover and so much fun to do. So I was really making sure I got in under that. Thank you, everyone. There are a lot of you on here. I know you can't see that. I am beyond honored to have so many of you on here tonight. This is my largest crowd ever in the history of my speaking. So thank you all for being here on a record-breaking night. And thank you to everyone for taking time tonight. So make sure you go have a green kale smoothie, have some spinach,